Welcome to the Get Wealth Show, where we uncover the secrets to building real wealth through real estate from the people who have actually done it. Each episode gives you proven strategies, modern market insight, and actionable steps you can use today to build wealth through real estate investing. Now, here's your host, Michael Hoang.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Michael Hoang. Today I am here with the private money authority, Jay Conner. How you doing, brother?
Oh, my lands, Michael, I'm doing fantastic, and I'll tell you why I'm doing fantastic. I'm so excited that you invited me to come along and talk about my most favorite subject that I'm so passionate about, and that is private money, and I'll tell you why. When I started attracting and raising private money all the way back in 2009, I've never missed out on a deal for not having the money, and I'm just excited to be here to share with your audience how in the world do you go about attracting private money for your deals without ever asking anybody for money?
Yeah, I'm going to need your help with that one, man, because I got my first private lender by begging and borrowing, and I've learned today that that is not the right way to go about it.
No begging, no chasing, no selling, no persuading. And, when you just said that, Michael, it reminds me of something. I'm going to go out on a limb right now and take a risk. But I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever heard one of the speakers on the platform or a guru teaching new real estate investors? Have you ever heard them say something to the effect of, oh, just get the deal under contract, the money will show up? You ever heard that?
Guilty.
You know what? Or they'll say, just get the deal under contract because money finds good deals. You ever heard that?
Yeah, I was taught that when I first started.
Well, let me tell you something, Michael. I want to be like that Kool-Aid guy on TV that runs into a brick wall. Every time I hear that, that's the most stupid thing I ever heard in my life. It's like, here's my question. Where's the money going to come from? Is it just going to like rain out of clouds? Go get the deal under contract and the money's going to show up. That is the most stupid thing I ever heard in my life. For me, common sense is get the money lined up first. I mean, here's a writer downer. Desperation has got a smell to it, for goodness sakes. And if you got a deal that you need funded, the worst time in the world to be raising private money is when you need it for a particular deal. That's why I preach and practice. The money comes first. Get the money lined up. There's always deals. You can get at least $500,000 in less than 30 days in private money without ever asking anybody for money. And now think about how much more confident and how many more offers you're going to make with that money burning a hole in your pocket.
Yeah, that's right, Jay. I learned going on seller's appointments when I first started that a big part of it was not the price you were offering the seller. It was not how fast you're willing to close. It was just confidence that they would feel off of your vibrations. Is this guy going to perform or not? And a lot of people start as wholesalers and they're taught just put a property under contract, find the end buyer. I didn't go about it that way. I went about it as in I'm going to buy it, keep it as a rental, maybe flip it. And there probably was a confidence issue when I first started because I didn't have the private lender network that I have today. So, man, how many deals would I have gotten under contract if I went out there knowing I got a guy with a $500,000 million in a self-directed IRA saying, Michael, we need to put this money to work.
Amen, brother. Amen.
So, Jay, that was quite the introduction, sir. But I'd like to take it back if you don't mind. Can you tell us about your first deal you did in real estate?
I sure can, and it didn't have anything to do with private money. I wish it did, because I didn't know anything about private money when I started out. As a matter of fact, Michael, I never even heard of private money. And by the way, we're not talking hard money, but I never heard of private money until 6 years after I'd been in this business. I'll tell that story if time permits. But my very first deal, oh my lands. So I started in this business. I don't recommend anybody listening to this episode that you start in this business the way I did. I started with no mentor, no coach. All I did was read a few books, and here I go. Stupid way to go. Anyway, that's what I did. So one thing I had read in one of those books is if you want to be a real estate investor and find a deal, What you do is you look in the Homes magazine. Now, Michael, I know you're too young to even remember what in the world a Homes magazine was. But back then, when I started in 2003 in this business, realtors and realty companies, they produced and published a monthly Homes magazine that was free in your local area. You picked it up at the gas station, at the convenience store, outside the grocery store, and it was a little magazine, and it was published by the local realtor association here, the Carteret County Realtor Association. And you had all the realtors in there, and they had pictures of their houses in there, an inch by inch by inch by inch, or they'd buy a half a page and show these. See, obviously, this is well before the day of putting a house in the multiple listing service, and you have multiple offers, in 48 hours. This was, took longer to sell a house. So anyway, what I read in one of them books was go get the Homes magazine and find the ugliest, nastiest smelling house you can that's been on the market forever. Well, I did that. I found it. I found this house here in Morehead City that had been on the market for 9 months with over 60 showings and no offers and no deal. I said, wow, that sounds like my house right there. So I went and looked at it, and boy, I figured out why in the world that house had not sold. It was a hoarder house, a hoarder house. You walk in the front door, a little path there, and I mean, it was stacked on either side. Come to find out, the previous occupant, it was a bank-owned property. Okay, it was a bank-owned property, but it hadn't been cleaned out. And so this is back in the day before bank, REOs, and banks figured you should clean that stuff out if you want to sell it. Anyway, come to find out, the previous occupant had worked at the local dump site on Hibbs Road and brought all that stuff home. Anyway, long story short, I bought that house for $50,000 with an unsecured line of credit. Now, back in 2003, if you could talk and fog a mirror, you could get an unsecured line of credit as long as you had a decent credit score. So I had a $250,000 line of credit burning a hole in my pocket. I bought it for $50,000. I put $50,000 worth of renovation rehab in it, so I had $100,000 in it. The only thing I knew to do, Michael, back in those days, if you're going to sell a house, put it in the multiple listing service with your realtor. I listed it for $149,900. I bought it in October, put it on the market in January. Let me tell you, Michael, it was absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I mean, Southern Living magazine would have been impressed if they'd showed up with their cameras. And it was beautifully staged, landscaped, the whole 9 yards. So I listed with my realtor. Now, this was 2004. And 45 days went by with no showings. Of course, we listed it in January, so now here I am, the end of February, no showings. I said, well, I'll be John Brown. I'm going to sell this house myself. So I went back to one of them books I've been reading, and it said, if you put an ad in the local paper, this is when people read newspapers, put an ad in the local paper that says owner financing under houses for sale, and your phone will ring off the hook. I put the ad in the paper, and boy, were they right. I had to cancel the ad after 2 issues of that paper coming out. My cell phone blew up. So one of the first callers' name was Linwood. And so I talked to Linwood. He said, Jay, I want to go see this house. You see, I didn't put the physical address of the property in the paper on purpose. Because you see, if you went down the good-looking side of Mayberry Loop Road, that's looking good. But if you went down the bad side of Mayberry Loop Road, that's looking bad. So I'm talking to Linwood. He says, Jay, I want to go see this house. He says, where is it? I said, well, Linwood, it's a little hard to find. I need you to meet me at the Seco gas station, and you can follow me into the house. Because, Michael, don't you know, we're going to go down the good-looking side of Mayberry Loop Road
The
to come in there
scenic
to
route.
the house. The scenic route. So I meet Linwood there at the Seco gas station on 20th Street here in Morehead City, and he follows me down Mayberry Loop Road on the Purdy side. We pull up into the driveway. We get out. I open the door, and Linwood walks around inside. It's beautiful. He comes back out to me. He says, Jay, I'll give you an $18,000 lease option deposit right now on this house. There was only one problem with Linwood's offer. I didn't know what a lease option deposit was. But my daddy told me, if somebody offers you money, you take it and you'll figure it out. And I said, Lynn, would you write me that check for $18,000 right here, right now, and we'll put this deal together? I said, give me a couple of days. So off Linwood goes. I got that $18,000 check. I have no idea what in the world I'm going to do with it because I don't know what a lease option deposit is. But I was a loan officer and an originator and had my mortgage broker license. And back in that time, if you had a 580 credit score, I could get you baked and done with an FHA or a USDA mortgage. Well, God is good and Jesus is great. He had a 583 credit score, 3 points above the 580. So I got Linwood mortgaged, and I applied that $18,000 to his closing costs and the purchase price. Sold it for full price, $139,900. So Michael, my first deal, I made $40,000, and I didn't have a clue what in the world I was doing, but I did know one thing: I like this business. And so for the next 6 years, all I knew to do, Michael, was go to the local bank, get on my hands and knees to the banker and say, please fund my deal. Please fund my deal. That's all I knew to do. Had to pull up my skirt so they could look at my personal assets and do the financial statement and all that mess. That worked out okay for the first 6 years in this business here in Eastern North Carolina. But then, whoop, whoop, everything changed in January 2009. Everything changed.
Wow, that is quite a tale. Jay Connor, I usually have to ask more questions on this podcast, but you answered almost every one I had about your first deal.
Hey, look, it's called not knowing what you're doing and going to a seminar you didn't plan on.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I didn't know what I was doing on my first deal either, and I didn't have the right money, the right training, the right anything. And if it wasn't for my network of people, man, that first deal would not have happened. But I don't know if this is a mark of pride or shame, but to this day, I've never used a hard money loan.
I haven't either. So we have something else in common, Michael. See, but I want your audience to understand, and they probably do, but a hard money lender, by the way, I'm not poo-pooing hard money. Some of my best friends are hard money lenders, and they use my techniques to raise money for their hard money fund that they loan out to real estate investors. But yeah, hard money lender is a broker most of the time of money. They've gone out and raised money from private lenders or private investors, and they turn around and broker that money out to real estate investors and, charging points and fees and et cetera, and making the rules, right? But yeah, I've got 47 private lenders right now funding our deals. And you know what's interesting? Not one of them, Michael, ever heard of private money until I put on my teacher hat, which says private money teacher. And so I taught them about private money without pitching a deal. And that's the secret sauce right there of getting all the private money you'd ever want, is leading with a servant's heart, sharing with people what this world of private money is all about that's never been exposed to it. None of my private lenders ever heard of self-directed IRAs until I put on my teacher hat and taught them about it. Over half of our private lenders are using retirement funds to fund our deals. But that's a big part of the secret sauce, is teaching the opportunity. And then, I get all my deals funded without ever pitching a deal. I've never pitched a deal in my life. I get all my deals funded from my private lenders by calling them up with what I call the good news phone call. If time permits in your show, I'll give your audience the script.
Love it. Love it. Man, for those of you not watching on YouTube, he put on a hat that said private money teacher. For everybody who's listening on the podcast, go over to YouTube, Michael Hoang, or at Michael B. someone on the YouTube, to see the hat that he donned while he was telling that story. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that most hard money lenders are raising from individuals, private lenders, from their self-directed IRAs. And if anybody has a retirement account and they want to talk about how they can use it to lend or even buy and own assets in their retirement account, shoot me a DM on Instagram at Michael B. someone, and just DM me the word IRA, and we'll get you set up with our people there. I do want to share with you something that you taught me that I still use all the time, Jay.
Oh,
I
what's
love
that?
I love that you taught the tell somebody, if you want to talk, DM me the word let's talk money.
Yes, absolutely. And I love sharing the stories on social media. Have a video. Here's a house I'm working on, or I just finished. And what's interesting is my investor on this house did nothing but sit back at home and collect $12,000 and did nothing. If you want to talk money, DM me.
That's right. You want to talk money, DM Jay Connor. What's on your Instagram, or where do you want people to DM you?
Oh no, I was just role playing. I would
Oh,
just
okay.
I would just role playing, like you're a real estate investor and you want to attract more private money, then that's what you do. Say, hey, here's what I got going on with this house. By the way, my private lender just made $12,000 doing nothing. So you see, when you're telling that story, you're not talking interest rates, you're not talking return on investment. You're just telling a story. And then, hey, you want to talk money? DM me. See, I was role playing what I already taught you.
I love that. I love that, Jay.
Are you ready to get started on your real estate investing journey? Well, we put together free resources to help you get started. Check the link in the description.
So, what's your business look like today? I imagine you've done more than one or two flips up there in eastern South Carolina.
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah, I love my South Carolinians. I'm here in Morehead City, North Carolina's teeny tiny town, 8,000 people. Our county's got 65,000, but we quadruple in size. We have between 250,000 and 300,000 from Memorial Day to Labor Day because we got the beach here, Atlantic Beach. But anyway, you said I've probably flipped more than one or two. Yes, we started, as I said, 2003. So we've done over 500 houses during that period of time. And what's it look like today? It depends on how I buy them. It depends on how I buy them. So here's a writer downer. Here's a writer downer. When I'm using private money to pay all cash, I don't want to leave my private lender cash buried in that house. Even though I could, there's no hurry to pay back private money, particularly if you're going to hold it and you got a positive cash flow. The private lender doesn't want their check back. They don't want their principal back. I mean, they complain every time I pay them off. They say, can't you just keep the money? No, I can't keep the money because I'm going to secure your note with that real estate. I'm going to collateralize it with a deed of trust, which is the case in Texas and North Carolina. Most states call it a mortgage. So yeah, they don't want their money back. They don't want their money back. But where was I going with it, Michael? For goodness sakes, I got all excited. What was I saying?
Yeah, I would agree with you. The biggest problem, I can tell the difference between a seasoned private lender and someone who's new to private lending, because the new private lender is like, when am I getting my money back? When am I getting my money back? And my seasoned private lenders I use is like, what are you giving me my money back for? Like, I'm paying like we got to do paperwork and do wiring fees and all this stuff. Like, where's the next deal? Can we just roll it in the next deal? So
Exactly.
I've kind of noticed a difference between those two. And so so you're flipping houses in your neck of the
Oh, I'm
woods.
sorry. You asked me what's my business looking like. I'm sorry. So it depends on how you buy it. It depends on how you buy it. So if I pay all cash using private money or my cash or whatever, I always use private lender's money. I don't want to leave that cash buried. So I'm typically going to cash out. I'm typically going to flip if I'm paying all cash. By the way, here's another writer downer. Private money is not just for the ugly house business. Private money is just not for properties that need rehab. Private money is when the seller requires all the cash, regardless of the condition. I mean, I'm a pretty good negotiator, Michael. Been around a couple of years. And I've reviewed thousands of property lead sheets talking to motivated sellers, off market houses. And here's my statistics. Only 13% of those for sale by owners will sell to me creatively, i.e., subject to the existing note, which means they're going to agree to sell me their house and leave the mortgage in their name, and I'll agree to make their payments and bring them current if they're behind. That's subject to the existing note. Then there's seller financing. That's creative. The seller agrees to be the bank, transfers me ownership. I'm gonna make them payments. Only 13% of all those leads will sell to me creatively. What do the other 87% of all those motivated sellers require? The money,
Cash.
the
That's right.
cash, the
And
cash.
quick. And quick.
Yes. And so I just want to make that distinction and that clarification. Private money, you're going to use it on your real estate deals when the seller requires all the cash, regardless if the seller is a FISBO, auction, courthouse steps, it don't matter, right? MLS, okay, and a FISBO if they require all the cash. Now, of course, the numbers have got to make sense. So, in answer to your question, what's my business model looking like? If I pay all cash, I'm going to turn it into a brand new, absolutely beautiful home that, and we get a music video done on it every time in the multiple listing service. And if I buy it on terms, if I buy it subject to the existing notes, seller financing, land contract, whatever, if I buy it creatively, then I'm going to typically turn around and sell it on lease purchase. Why is that? Here's why. Because here's a writer downer. When you buy on terms, the longer you own the house, the more money you make when you buy on terms. But that's another show.
So when you buy for cash, you want to sell for cash. When you buy on terms, you want to sell for terms. Is that right?
That's it.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous. Here in Texas, we can't do contract for deed or lease option, nothing like that. Texas is a little more stubborn. You can do a wrap, you can sell owner finance, and you can do wraps, but a lot of the options, a lot of Midwest states have these strategies too, which unfortunately we can't do here in Texas.
Right. Gotcha.
Yes, sir. And so, Jay, I had a question I wanted to ask you, brother.
Let her go.
I like to ask
my
a lot
granddaddy would say, let her fly.
I ask a lot of people this, especially experienced people this, what's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten in your life?
Well, I've gotten a lot of advice, but when I hear that question, the very first piece of advice that comes to my mind, Ron LeGrand, the godfather of real estate. Ron LeGrand told me years ago, he says, Jay, what other people think of you is none of your business. Which, if you just unpack that, is another way of saying, stop trying to be a people pleaser. Stop trying to be other people. Be authentic to yourself. Attract people in your life that are like you. Repel people in your life that are not like you. And whoever in the world came up with the saying opposites attract, that's the most stupid thing in my life I ever heard, other than get the deal under contract and the money will show up. For goodness sakes, I want to hang around people that's like me, right? Now, we need all those other people, but I want to hang around people that are like me. That doesn't mean I'm better than anybody else. It just means I can relate, right? I can relate. So, yeah, what other people think of you, Michael, is none of your business.
Yeah, well, I needed to hear that because, boy, have I gotten some feedback over the years. All right, brother.
So look at that dude with the funny hairdo. What in the world's going on with him?
Yeah, I love this because I worked in corporate America for years and I couldn't grow my hair out. And I was a safety manager and then I was a risk manager and I had to do job site investigations. So I had to be able to wear a hard hat whenever I would go do investigations for claims and damages and burnt down buildings and thefts and employee deaths and injuries. So,
brother, are you kidding me? You couldn't put a hard hat on now and stuff all that hair up in that hat.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be padding, but it's quite the opposite. And so now that I'm real estate retired, thanks to private money and my private money lenders, which is how I built out my portfolio of single family homes, I'm like, okay, I'm growing this thing out. And boy, does my wife love it. I didn't know I had such a curly head of hair until it started to grow out.
I love it.
All right, brother, I could talk to you all day here, but we need to move to the last part of the show here. So,
by the way, I got to ask you a question,
yeah.
Michael, and then we're back. So why and how did you come up with the name of your show, the Be Someone Show?
Man, the Be Someone podcast, and if you can kind of see, there's a piece of artwork here. I need to figure out a way to get it in camera better. But in Houston, there's this famous bridge in downtown where it has graffiti that says "Be Someone," and you go under it every day. And if you drive into a certain part of downtown, and so when I was a kid, I don't have a college degree. I dropped out of college twice, um,
Seemed to have
and
served you well.
yeah, yeah, it did. And first, I was blue collar, working in like labor jobs, and then I worked my way up to supervisor roles and management roles, and I clawed my way up to the white collar world, only to then learn that the white collar life was not for me either, and I became a real estate investor and tapped out of the corporate world. But I remember different phases of my life driving under that bridge, looking at it, saying, "I'm going to be someone someday." But what that someone is keeps changing as I keep reaching those goals and evolving. And so I made this podcast to kind of share with people the secrets of how I became someone. And this, I say it on the intro, which you don't get to hear because the intro was edited in before. As I learned, the secret to being someone is friends, is the people that you choose to spend time with. And so that's why I want to introduce the audience every week to my friends like you, Jay Connor, because private money can change your life. Man, it has changed mine.
Wow. I love the story behind the name of your podcast. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Nobody ever asked, so thank you for asking.
Well, that is my steroid curious brain. I have an insatiable appetite to learn about other people.
Yeah, I love that. So we're gonna move to the last. Man, you're infectious. I could talk to you all day, but we have a hard stop. So let me move to the end of the show here. So I like to say on every episode that people like to think that they're living a life of their free own choosing, but really our life is like a ship, and it's big and slow and takes a long time to turn. And usually, this course that we're on was set by our friends, family, where we went to school, where we grew up, our church, our community. And so I've learned from talking to most entrepreneurs and real estate investors that what turned the course of their ship into this path is usually a book. So, what book either changed the course of your life or changed how you did real estate once you got into it?
Well, so that's really two questions. So now I got to give you two books.
Go ahead.
so, so one question is what changed the course of your life? That's one book. And then the other question is, what book is it that got you into real estate or really changed the trajectory of your real estate investing? So, the first question, what book changed my life? You know, as you just alluded to, the books you read and the people you meet and the relationships you develop really is what brings you to where you are today. The people you meet, the relationships you develop, and the books you read. So, to be totally transparent and take my filter off, when I was 24 years old, I was living in a very, very dark place, spiritually dark, no friends, family really didn't want me to come around. It was really quite pathetic. And so I woke up one morning and I said, there's got to be a better way. so, and I mean, and I was drinking heavily. I was into drugs. I mean, it was a bad scene. So anyway, I found myself in the local bookstore in the personal development section, and I came across this book. It changed my life immediately. It turned me 180 degrees from where I was heading. And the name of the book is University of Success by Og Mandino. It's still in print. Changed the trajectory of my course. Now, what book about real estate changed the way I did real estate? So, as I told my story, started in 2003, and then 2009, everything changed with starting to use private money. And so the book that it was actually my very one of my very first real estate books, and it's called "The Less I Do, the More I Make," written by Ron LeGrand. And that book just really opened my eyes to creative financing and subject to and all that world. And and it's still in print today as well.
Yeah, Ron LeGrand is, you and I have a common friend named Tom Kroll, who's an amazing guy, and he likes to say the secrets are there are no secrets. And a lot of the old wisdom from people in the 60s, 70s, and 80s is the same stuff everybody's talking about today. There's nothing new under the sun. So listen to the OGs, listen to the original people, the guys who started this game. Even if it's hard to find their books or their tapes, I mean, some of this stuff used to be tapes in the mail, so it can be hard to find their material sometimes. But yeah, I love
Hey,
that.
I still have some of those. I've still got Zig Ziglar's cassette tapes when I was 24 years old.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I think that era had gone by when I started consuming real estate education. I think it was like 2014 whenever I first started watching the Bigger Pockets podcast. So I think I missed that. Although I do remember magazines, I might have paid for one or two copies of Money magazine when I was a kid in the early 2000s. But yeah, I miss the good old days of getting tapes and listening to them in the car. However, man, I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't consume podcasts, listen to YouTube channels, YouTube videos, and I had a job where I drove a lot, and so I did that thing they call like turn your car into like a rolling university.
That's
And
what
so
Zig Ziglar said.
that's Zig Ziglar said that.
That's a Zig. Yeah, it's called the University of something like Vehicle University or Car University. He had a name for it. He had a name for it.
Wow. So I heard that from another speaker who probably originally that there it goes right there, back to the original wisdom.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, brother. So we're big believers in the go giver here. And so I like to tell people, if you believe you're going to come into anything new and you're going to hold firewood in your hand and you're going to look at the fireplace and say, give me heat first, then I'll give you this wood, you're going to have a very cold winter. So I ask every guest on every episode, what's something that you can give to the audience today?
Thank you, Michael. And I would love the opportunity, if you're listening to this show, to this episode, I'd love to mail you my book, which is titled Where to Get the Money Now. I'll autograph it for you and I'll express mail to it. The subtitle is How and Where to Get All the Money You'd Ever Want for Your Real Estate Deals Without Relying on Hard Money or any kind of institutional lenders. I'm also going to include with the book 2 tickets valued at $2,997, access to my upcoming private money conference. And so I'll include the tickets to the private money conference with the book. You can get it on Amazon for $20, but don't do that. Let me give you the book for free. Just cover shipping, if you will. And you can pick up the book at www.jayconner.com/book. Take note, I'm an ER, not a OR. JAYCONNER, which stands for extra revenue, .com/book. jayconner.com/book. And I will rush it right on out to you. Also, in addition to that, what can I do for the audience? Come join me. Come check out my podcast. I'm now in my 8th year, almost 800 episodes. The name of my podcast is Raising Private Money with Jay Conner. It's on all the podcast platforms. And so, yes, I would love to mail your audience my book. Michael, I think they'll get a lot out of it. And in the book, I actually have the complete program that I teach my new private lenders. So when you get the book, just duplicate my program, and that's what you can put your teacher hat on for and teach people about private money and start attracting it and not chasing it.
I love that. So years ago, I bought your book. I'm one of those dopes that paid $20 on Amazon, and I was actually able to grab it real quick off the shelf behind me. There it is. There's your book, and he is not kidding when he says each one comes autographed. For those of you not watching on YouTube, I'm showing his book and his autograph right there. So get it for free by contacting him. Don't buy it off Amazon like I did. All right, brother. And then what can the audience do for you today?
Oh, thank you, Michael. So if you're listening to this episode, here's what I would ask you to do. You are one conversation away from making a difference in somebody else's life. So I would ask you, share this episode with just one person. Share this episode with just one person that you believe it can make a difference in their life?
Man, that is a very awesome ask that you had of the audience. No one should have any problem doing that. Well, brother, I could chat to you all day long, but we got to get out of here. This has been Michael Hoang and Jay Connor signing off.
Each week on the Get Wealth Show, you hear real conversations with investors, entrepreneurs, and operators who are building real wealth in the real world. If you're ready to start building wealth through real estate, click the link in the description for free resources and tools to help you get started. And if you want more practical, real-world conversations, follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. We'll see you next time on the Get Wealth Show.